I'm doing a video on this because, well, one reason, this happened where I live this year. So I live in Choctaw Nation, and this guy was pulled over by Choctaw police. This guy was going around pulling people over, impersonating an officer and a deputy, and there were, I guess, multiple complaints, and so they were looking for this guy, and they finally caught up with him. But here's some interesting things. I didn't even know this about, like if there's like an unmarked car that has lights on it. Here's the Oklahoma law that specifies specifics about officers who are off duty, what they can and cannot do. And it says they're not forbidden to wear a uniform while off duty. But here's the specifics about the statute so people can know, because he was pulling, no telling how many people he pulled over. He could have just like pulled them over and gave them warning. He's just playing this power trip is what he's doing. And I'm going to put the link in the description of this video so you can watch this full video. It's like 22 minutes long. I'm just going to give the brief synopsis, but I'm going to share it in different places because I hadn't even heard about this. And I'm living literally in this area that this guy was doing this. This could have been me that this guy did this to, because I don't know that I would have known any better. So the Choctaw police received a report of a suspicious man driving an unmarked car, but he had lights. He was driving a Kia with lights on it. So what he was doing, he was wearing a duty belt and ballistic vest, which is weird to be wearing if you're off duty and you're driving. And so this is what the deputy told him. The one says, well, why are you doing this? He says, look, when I leave the sheriff department or corrections, whatever, he says, I don't wear that stuff. I take it off. He says, why would you want to wear it when you're off duty and you're driving? And so he was in this duty belt and ballistic vest with flashing lights on his personal car. So probably why people suspected him was he said he was an undercover police officer. So if you're undercover, you're not going to be wearing a police badge and ballistic vest. You know what I mean? You're not going to be wearing the full gear and claim you're undercover. So that didn't add up. So I don't know what specifically made them to be suspicious to call on him, but he wasn't quite bright fella. But I've seen some videos where there was fake cops fooling a lot of people. But anyway, so this is what he did. So this is Choctaw police pulling this guy over. And anything he said made any sense. He was talking about he was from Tennessee. He's drive all the way from Tennessee. Then why are you wearing Oklahoma police gear? So he said he worked at the sheriff's office. They were trying to figure out what role was he claiming that he was, which apparently he changed his story because he told somebody that he pulled over he was undercover. But to this deputy who pulled him over, he kind of gave him a leading question, and he's like, yeah, he works at the corrections department. Well, if you're wearing a corrections department, why would you leave the sheriff's department with a police vest on with flashing lights on your car? None of it, everything he's making adds up. So he apparently was actually from Tennessee, but he's out here in Oklahoma fake copping it and pulling people over. And I don't know that he actually harmed anyone, or there's fake cops that they're predators and they're pulling over women and kidnapping them, stuff like that. But this guy, I don't know what his deal is, just I guess likes play this power trip. Okay, so here's the I guess the standards or policy or statutes. Law enforcement to be dressed in uniform out in public according to the standards. So I think it's important for people to know what is appropriate, legal, and normal for somebody who may pull somebody over and claim to be, if they're driving a private vehicle with flashing lights. Like, that is instant, make sure the person approaching you is actually who they say that they are. I do not like private vehicles that have these flashing lights because it's just an open door for stuff like this. I think every cop car should be, marked. for whatever reason that they have, undercovers or whatever. I think that people have the ability to ask them to see their badges. And anytime you get pulled over by somebody who's in a private vehicle with lights, I would just call and say, hey, please verify this person, and demand the person to be verified because of stuff like this. But people don't know what the policies are mostly. I don't know. I didn't. So, know the proper display of badges. It's not illegal for them to wear their stuff when off duty, but it's generally not something that they do. But know how they're supposed to wear their badge. OIG agents will wear the assigned badge on outer garments while carrying a weapon. It will be visible next to the weapon when the weapon is visible. The badges will not be openly displayed while the employee is off duty. So if you see some fake cop showing up and he's got a badge on and he's off duty, yeah, no, you need to call somebody like straight away, and please share this so other people know. I cannot believe this happened in my area. Oh my goodness. Yeah. And badges for the uniform staff will be worn as outlined in this procedure. So based on this, it's saying because badges will not be openly displayed while the employee is off duty, that's an extension that's obvious that wearing uniform is a no-no. Okay, so here's a way that, well, in Oklahoma, I don't know if it's different by statute by state, but they asked him for identification, and he said he doesn't have any identifying documents. That's a lie, because it is mandatory for every member of law enforcement to have a badge of identification. So know how to spot fake cops. This is not something that we should have to know and be aware of, but unfortunately these things happen, and I've heard of these things happening before. I've seen videos, but I've never seen this in where I live, in the part of the state that I live in. And so thank you, Law and Crime Trial Network, for exposing this and making people aware of this. And I just hope people will share this, because you never know. You never know. Don't say it can never happen to you. I'm not saying, like declare bad things happening. I'm just saying this is something people need to be aware of, especially in Oklahoma. I cannot believe this guy. Oh my goodness. Okay, so this guy is telling these officers that he works for the jail as a correction officer. So this officer said, well, you cannot leave the facility wearing the uniform, because as he explained to him, he says, when you are wearing that badge saying that you're wearing for the sheriff's department, you are impersonating an officer. So they're telling him, and basically with this video is telling the public as well, that when somebody pulls you over, okay, and they tell you that they have powers in Oklahoma anyways to pull somebody over because they're a correction officer, no, they don't. It's not the same thing. So no, they're not even supposed to be wearing this badge outside the facility. See, so it's saying that any person, if you wear a sheriff, he says that if you wear a badge, because the guy was like, well, I wear a badge inside the jail. He said, well, that may be okay, I guess, depending on the individual, county he's working for, jail he's working for, inside the facility. But he said, when you wearing that badge outside the facility, you're acting as the sheriff deputy. He's saying that you cannot hold yourself out as having, that badge power, because as you can see here in the statute, corrections officer is not included. Constable or peace officer is not a corrections officer. Police officer, not a corrections officer. Marshal, not a corrections officer. Deputy sheriff, not a corrections officer. That's what this guy is saying, and that's what this particular channel is pointing out. So see what it's saying here? It says any person who wears this badge to fix on them or their vehicle to temporarily or permanently, okay, to use for the purpose causing any other motor vehicle operator to yield the right of way and stop, or causes them to do that, such as this guy pulling people over, that is a crime. And I think that this crime should be a felony. For somebody to pretend to be a cop and pull somebody over, what is like, what kind of deterrent is that for people? Like, if they go around and do this and just for kicks and fun, they're like, oh well, it'd only be a misdemeanor, even though misdemeanor can get up to a year in jail. It's just like, this is so serious for them to do this. I think it should be a felony, really. This is so serious. So this is important to know. Like, say if you suspect that somebody is a fake cop, this is what it states: that 911 operators will be able to tell you for sure whether there are any officers conducting traffic stops in your area. So know where you're at if you get pulled over by somebody you suspect is a fake cop. Let's say you're driving along on a highway, and you get pulled over and you suspect this. You're like, you don't know where to tell the operator that you're at. You pull open your Navigator app and see if, it'll tell you exactly where you're at. Or at any rate, there shouldn't be any resistance if you suspect, if you do suspect somebody's a fake cop, just politely say, look, I'm feeling a little leery about whether or not you're real, so I'm just going to make a call, okay, and verify that you are here as a legitimate officer, not to be disrespectful, because you definitely don't want to accuse an actual cop of being a fake cop, but no real cop should have any issue with this, especially when these kinds of things are going on. And at any rate, that's it for this video, and I hope that you will share this information, you know. And I would like to know, just out of curiosity, did you know about all this on how to identify a fake cop and the specifics about whether or not, their standard for wearing their, when they're off duty, their gear, and what a correction officer can and cannot wear? And this is the state of Oklahoma, so the statutes and policies may be different in a different state, so definitely check your state on that. Have a good one. Clue word: fake cop. Good grief. That's pretty bad. Gotta know how to identify a fake cop and what to do even if you suspect one is a fake cop. Bye.